somebody asked me a question. How did I manage to get a huge sum of money to build 2 schools and train children and do several projects? And I want to tell you a little bit of how we have reached where we are. Because most times, young people get frustrated when they see people like us and they think that we had one huge advantage and that's what has helped us to become who we are. Number one, every big shot you see used to be a small shot that refused to stop shooting. Number two, you have to cultivate the entrepreneurial spirit, the business spirit from very early in life. From medical school, I knew I was studying medicine to be a platform for me to break the yoke of poverty in my family. And it was the easiest way to break that yoke of poverty because medical practice will give me skills that will enable me to be able to establish very early. That's why I did not become a professor of medicine. If not, I'm a brilliant man by any standard. I had to settle down for general practice because I believed that my children could become the professor of medicine that I could not become. So I was intentional. You have to be intentional right from the beginning. So when I went for youth service, as my mates were gyrating around, I was deliberately going out for skills. And so I worked in a 40-bed hospital as the medical director. I was 27 years old when I took over from an Indian. And so I was paid 1,500 then, and my wife was paid 500 naira. One of the things that will help you in life is frugality. And there's nothing like when a husband and a wife have a common vision. And so we lived on my wife's 500 naira and we budgeted our 1,500 naira that I was being paid. So the other thing was that I made sure that for the money that I was paid, I could expand it. Those who attended my last seminar, I taught them about the linear expansivity of money. When you have money in your hand, you see how you can expand it in a particular direction. And so I was buying second-hand clothing, bales of second-hand clothing from one man called Obi Alaribe. And when we opened the bale in the hospital, with so many patients and student nurses and nurses around, we were able to sell. And I would go with my wife to area market. There was a place called Free Zone in those days in the 80s. And even as a medical doctor, I would stay behind and my wife would be selling. My wife trained in the University of Benin Teaching Hospital. One of the things some of you who are professionals, who are educated, need to learn to do is remove this garment of education and be willing to do what illiterates and semi-illiterates are doing that is making them get money in your environment. So we're selling second-hand clothing and that brought extra revenue. So we didn't need to touch our salary. We didn't need to touch her salary. And I will carry her to markets in Igbo land, Abala, Unkomiri market, and Abala market, and all that. And so we go and sell second-hand clothing. I was still practicing medicine. And then I was running rural medical practices, clinics that gave me some extra money. So that within a space of 2 years of working, I was able to buy the basic things that I needed to start my own medical practice because I had acquired surgical skills. I could do a lot of surgeries and very beautifully. And then the next thing was that I built a reputation and a relationship with my patients and the Igbo community. The Igbo people are very nice to strangers. And so I took a loan. That was the first time I took a loan and the only time I took a loan from a bank. I took a loan of 2,500 naira from the New Nigerian Bank in 1988. That enabled me to pay for rent at Okegbu Road. I think it's number 14 or 14 Okegbu Road. And I started the medical practice there. I started small. I also noticed that we had surgical cases in those days from where I was working in Akwa Ibom, in Iwokem, Okanafon, Ikorudobom, Ikorese. So I went there and set up a satellite practice. And I will carry the patients with the Niva Jeep I had then and come and operate on them at Aba. And then I take them back to their community, the satellite clinic. And so my wife and I will be transversing. We'll see patients in the afternoon, from morning till afternoon in Aba, Ekorikbene Road. Then we'll later move to Ekorikbene Road. We'll move to Kanafun, see patients, bring them, do surgeries on them. That's how we were working, and we were getting more revenue. And we lived extremely, a very extreme frugal life. We were punishing ourselves so that we can live the kind of life we are living today. I remember the kind of meat we used to eat is the pancreas. We'll go and buy it from Ahia Udele or one other market. When you cook it, the thing is bloody and the soup is dark. But that was what we were eating. And then we'll buy the legs of chicken and the wings of chicken and the neck of chicken. And we will eat. We deprived ourselves delayed gratification. We didn't live to impress people. And so I managed to buy a land in Umoba Road with this frugal lifestyle, and it was 75,000 naira beside the Anglican church in Umoba Road. Later, we sold it for 280,000 that we used to buy 2 properties. So I started investing in real estate when I was 29, when I was 30. And so it was some of these properties we later sold that gave us bulk money to be able to buy our residence and buy where the school is. So, and then I also capitalized on my intellectual wealth. So for each subject I was given to speak on, the topics I was given to speak on, I wrote pamphlets or wrote books on them and preached cassettes in my house, preached into cassettes in my house. God bless the family of Dr. Chuma Okorafor, Pastor Chuma Okorafor. He sent the cassette duplicator, and I would preach and record in my house, prepare cassettes, and then take to go and sell in the IPCI when Dr. Chidi Okorafor will invite me. There was a time people formed long line to buy my cassettes, and there was a time people used to book ahead for my cassettes. So because somebody asked me, how will you feed yourself? I think it's my brother Chuma that asked me. I told him my mouth will feed me. And so I did not play with my intellectual content and my intellectual asset. And I wrote books, and those books sold. One of them, Money is an Idiot, was giving me $250,000 every month. And then the CDs, at one time the CDs were giving me 600,000 every month. And that was a lot of money. And then when I go with my books, my wife will sit in the boot of the bus and sell books. She didn't used to sit in the altar. So that's how we got money from books, from cassettes. We were able to start the school and build the school. Gradually, we started with 2 flats and 5 pupils, including my last born, who has a master's degree and is in Europe. So people made mockery of us. People called us names. I dressed poorly. I remember when one day I was preaching, I wore a khaki dress, and I was telling them, don't look at me like this, that a time is coming, you won't recognize me. And the time, frankly speaking, we've passed that stage, and I was very frugal, my wife was very frugal, we wore cheap clothes, I had only 2 shoes, we lived frugally, we were tenants, and we were building. My landlady did not know. So we built our residence, we built the school, we had delayed gratification until we started joining cooperatives. So cooperatives provided another leverage, and then I invested in real estate. Anytime I needed money, I would sell a portion of the land to train my children to invest in our businesses. And that's how we were able to raise money from real estate, from our businesses, and we have not borrowed from banks. We raise money from our cooperatives. Cooperatives have been very helpful. And then we learned how to establish micro businesses within the main business. So in the school, we prepare, my wife cooks rice to sell. My wife still prepares coconut candy from the coconuts in my compound, prepare plantain chips from the plantain in my compound. Recently, I sold gari, a lot of gari, with at least money came. And so we learned to do small menial things that illiterates were doing, that we did with our education and sold in our educational facility, the school. So we always learned that, built an ecosystem. So we managed to buy a printing press. I remember I went to Ibadan to bring the printing press. We started printing our exercise books. So anything that we need in our system, we produce. So money circulates within our system. That's how we've managed to raise money, build whatever we have built, train our children, and reach this level. And so, what is your intellectual capacity? What are your intellectual assets? What need can you meet in your environment? What do you need to invest your money into to produce more money from it? Are you into real estate, buy land, sell? Once you keep, and can you live a frugal and disciplined life? I avoid trouble at all costs. I avoid unnecessary expenditure. I don't expend my energy. I don't live a flamboyant life. I live a very simple life. At one time, we had 11 vehicles in my household because we were using some to provide transport for the students and they needed to pay. But most times, you see, my wife treks. Most times I trek. Even if I want to go to long distances, I don't drive. I enter public transport. Or you come and carry me. So we conserved our resources and still conserve our resources today. That's how we've not gone to borrow and we don't live to impress people. I wish that you can take notes down from whatever I've said. If you practice them, delayed gratification, the principle of gradualism, the philosophy of the ant, and all that. People made mockery of me. They called me the crow master, small crow master. But little drops of water make a mighty ocean.